Hello everybody and welcome to Legion's IT Training. Today we're going to be looking at NATing on a Cisco ASA using object groups and a single network provided by a provider edge. So here we're going to see our provider edge 1. That's going to come up here and be our iOS v1 and VIRL. We're also going to have our Cisco ASA, which is directly connected to our PE1. And then we're going to have our DMZ server represented by the iOS v-3. Now over here on PE1, if we look at the IP addressing scheme, this is what's going to be on the service provider side, which we're not really going to see. However, we have been provided a /28 in the 22.22.22.160 network. We do a show run interface gig 0/2. You'll see here that we have a /28 address. Now what we're going to be looking at doing is NATing to our customer DMZ on 22.22.22.163. The reason we're going to be looking at doing that is because we have to have an external IP address configured on our ASA to do NATing. So if we start out here, we're going to look at the ASA and realize that gig 0/0, and got to remember it's backwards, it's show interface IP brief. Now on the ASA, we still realize that all the interfaces are administratively down by default. So if we go into gig 0/0, which is what we're going to be working with, and we do a no shutdown command, as well as interface gig 0/2, in this case, we'll also do the no shutdown command. Now remember, one of the nice things about the Cisco ASA is you don't have to do the do command. So we can do show run without the do command. So we'll come back and do a show interface IP brief, and this will tell us now that our interfaces are up. We want to remember that on interface gig 0/0, we have to have a name inf, or pretty much a zone name. In this case, we'll have the name interface as outside, because that will be the outside interface, of course. The security level for outside is set to 0 by default. Next, we go and move forward with the IP addressing of the outside interface, which in this case, 22.22.22.161 is the provider edge, so 162 will be the IP address on the ASA. Keep in mind that the /28 ends in 240, which gives us 14 possible IP addresses on that network, and we're using 2 of them so far. Once we have the IP address on the interface, we can ping 161, which shows us that we have connectivity to the provider edge. Now moving forward, as we see here, the show interface IP brief, we're going to provide 163 as the IP address on our customer internal device. So if we come in here to the customer DMZ server, we do an enable and then a config T. I'll show you that the do show IP interface brief command shows us our interfaces and that they are administratively down. Gig 0/1 is our interface we are going to be working with, so we will do a no shutdown statement on this device. This, of course, will turn up the interface, and we should be able to set connectivity on this particular device. So if we do an IP address of 192.168.0.say 255.255.255.0, we'll do a /24, make it easy on ourselves. You'll see that we have our internal address space when we're doing NATing. Now we can NAT and do a twice NAT in Cisco, where you can keep the same external IP address, source and destination, as the same. In this case, I'm going to show you NATing from an external to internal and internal to external the same. So back over here on the ASA in gig 0/2, we have to put the name of the interface, which in this case is going to be DMZ. DMZ is set to 0 by default, so we could, if we wanted to, set the security level to 50. 50 allows us to traverse a little easier, as a higher level interface is able to traverse a lower level interface. So when we configure the inside zone, it will be a security level of 100. 100 can talk to 50, 50 can talk to 0. As we saw before on the show NameInf, 50 can talk to 0, but 0 cannot talk to 50 by default. Hence why we're doing that. So, once again, show interface IP brief, IP address 192.168.0.1. We'll do our /24. Show interface IP brief again. We'll see it's up and running. Do a ping of 192.168.0.2, and you're going to notice the DMZ interface on our ASA can talk to the interface on our router. 192.168.0.2. Now, one of the other things we have to do now is specify the default gateways. So on the router here, we'll specify the default gateway as the ASA. So we'll do show IP route. This will give us a static route to the ASA. On the ASA, we will do a route to the outside to 22.22.22.161. So if we do a show route now, we have our static route to the outside interface. One of the next things we need to do is configure objects. So if we do the object network, and we'll just use the C-DMZ object name, talking to the host 192.168.0.2, then we can provide a NAT statement. So the NAT is going to be going from the source DMZ to the destination outside, and we're going to be doing a static entry, as you see here. Now we can put the mapped address 22.22.22.163. So if we do a show run NAT, you'll see here that we have our NAT statement. If we do a show NAT, it'll also give us the auto NAT policies for the object device. So now we should be able to ping our gateway which we can. Now what we can do is we can try to ping the external IP address of the provider edge. You'll notice it's not going to work. So now we'll specify the access group. We have to have a name of the access list. So the access list is going to be DMZ-in in the interface, and then which interface we were looking at is DMZ. Once we allow this, let's try our ping again. And it still doesn't work. So we'll come back over here, do a show access-list, access list DMZ-in, access group DMZ-in interface DMZ. Now you're going to notice here that this doesn't work. And the reason this does not work is because we can't allow return traffic from 0 to 50. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch this around a little bit and do an access group DMZ-in interface outside. Let's try it again. And now you're going to notice that it works. So there is a certain order of operations and different access control requirements to allow this to work. Like I said before, 100 can go to 0, 50 can go to 0, but 0 cannot go to 50, and 50 cannot go to 100. So we have to provide the access list allowing the lower level security interface to the higher level security interface. So once again, what we did is we provided connectivity from our provider edge, which a lot of the times if you buy an account through Cox or AT&T or whoever, all they're going to do is give you a block or a certain number of IP addresses. Hopefully they're sequential. In the case of if they're sequential, we have the ability to do the natting on the Cisco ASA. So if we do a show nat, we'll see here that we have 4 translated hits and 21 untranslated hits. Now the untranslated hits are probably due from when we forgot to put the access list on the outside interface. But now we have the ability to ping on the inside to outside and from the outside to inside. Thank you guys so much for checking this video out. Legion IT Training, we're going to be putting out these little snippets here and there. Hopefully pretty soon, if we get the ability, we'll be able to create some more fuller length informational style videos. Thank you for watching.